That's cool. So now I think a good time as ever, as we're talking about your drums and stuff. I want to just go over, kind of get your description, because I mean, I did a video on the website. I think it looks really great. So kudos to that. But just your kind of story behind each model, because you
Yeah.
released 4 upon launch, but you also have more in coming, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna release, we'll say 3 to 4 new snares in July or August,
Cool.
and then we're gonna release at least one model, maybe 2 models of full kits in
No
September,
way.
October. So we got some pretty ambitious plans. A
Yeah.
lot of work to do before that. But yeah, right now we have 4 models. Each drum is really unique in its own right, even though, well, 3 of them are brass shells.
Hmm.
But I can tell you a little bit about each of them. I wish I had all of them with me, but
Just kind of
don't. So yeah,
shuffle them there. Yeah.
yeah. So our biggest model is called the Chorus.
Hmm.
It's a 8x14, and it's built with 8 lugs. There's some studies between 8 lugs and 10 lugs that pretty much the sound is identical between the two. But when you're trying to go for a lower tuning, having that really low pitch, if you have less lugs around, it's slightly less tension on each,
Sure.
and it will hold it a little bit better. So you can achieve that lower tuning much easier with a drum
Right.
that's going to stay in tune a little bit better. Where on a 10 lug, if you're trying to tune it really low, you're basically going to end up with kind of like a wet pancake that you're hitting. It's just there's no responsiveness
Right.
because each lug is naturally going to have a little bit more tension to it. So if you remove some, then you can get something you can tune a little bit lower.
Right.
So we've got an 8 lug, 8x14. I want to do an 8x14 with a 6 lug. I just don't know if it'll actually stay in tune for people. But
Dang.
that's a dream, or maybe something I'll just make for myself in the future.
Experiment.
I've been talking with my friend Ryan about trying to do a 6 lug 8x14. But right now we've got this 8x14, 8 lug, black nickel over brass. It's got a
Hmm.
beaded center, and it just sounds awesome. We upgrade everything that we can on all of our drums. So we've got really nice tube lugs. They all come with a trick throw and a butt plate, or if you get a brass hardware model, then you get an indie throw. So it's really
Yeah.
nice throws on them. We put great snare wires on them. So they're German metal snare wire. On the Chorus model, the 8x14, it comes with a 42 strand
Oof.
German snare wire. And it sounds great. We ship them with good heads on them too. So they come with a Remo Power Stroke P4 on the top coated. And on the bottom, we put a Remo Ambassador Hazy.
Hmm.
The 8x14 Chorus is just a beefy, fat sound. They're great. We've got some demos of them on our website and on Instagram and all that.
Oh yeah.
But and I know you've heard all of them too.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's got a really nice, fat, low sound. You can tune it medium, high if you want. It really excels though at that medium low, I think, or even fully low. Just barely any tension on it. It's got such great
That
sound.
wet pancake we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, just slightly better than like an overcooked pancake.
There it is. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
we want to make sure the heads still have some responsiveness to them. But yeah, it really excels to that low pitch, kind of that Bethel sound that they have. The David Whitworth vibe.
Hmm.
So that's the Chorus model, and then we've got 3 that are 6.5x14. So I already talked about that aluminum. It's called the Pre-Chorus.
Pre-chorus. Yep.
That's a 6.5x14 made out of a spun aluminum shell. It's awesome. It's got such a great tone to it. It's really nice if you muffle it down. I like using mine with a snare weight junior,
Cool.
and it sounds great with that. But you can, really muffle it, or you can just play it wide open, and it's got a little bit higher pitch sound than our other drums. A little more of that classic snare tone.
Hmm.
That does really well at a medium tuning. You can go medium high. You could go really high on that one. It still sounds great.
Yeah.
And then our next model is the Verse. This has been our most popular so far, which I'm not surprised with because it's probably our most versatile drum. It's a black nickel over brass beaded shell. It's a 6.5x14. Same thing, comes with the trick throw or the indie throw, depending on the hardware you pick, and shipped with good heads. That one has a 25 strand German snare wire on the bottom, so it's still got a lot of responsiveness. And that 6.5 by 14 is just, it's so great at that medium high tuning.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice for a lot of different applications, but you can still detune it quite a bit and play it pretty low. And then our fourth model is the one you have, the Refrain,
Yes.
which is
Uh-huh.
a raw brass with a clear lacquer on it. So it has that gold tone on the outside of the drum, just looks awesome. It's
Yes.
also a beaded shell. It's made out of, pure brass, and comes with trick throw, nice tube lugs on it. And that
Mm-hmm.
one is just, it just cracks. I mean, that drum smacks. You can get a really fat tone out of it or a really crisp tone, and it sounds great. It's super easy to tune, as you've already seen, and
Oh yes.
it even sounds good with really horrible heads on it, like I said.
Yeah, dude, it's funny. Like, so I got it, and I put an Evans. I'm an Evans guy, unfortunately, I guess, or fortunately, however
Totally.
you want to look at
No,
it.
no, not at all. Yeah, I use both. I use Evans and Remo. For the company, we're doing Remo, but yeah, I use lots of Evans heads. So yeah,
It works. So the one I have, it's got the controlled sound on is what you shipped it with.
yeah.
And I laugh when I just did a quick like, tune up demo, whatever. And I posted on Instagram and everything. And you're like, oh, you recorded that with the stock head that I sent it with. You were so surprised because I was like, dude, this thing grabbed a tune almost immediately out of the box. Right. And I'm like, I just put the bottom head on. I got it tuned up literally within 20 minutes, slapped it on my drum kit, and that's how it was. And I think I put like a quarter of a moon gel. And I'll be honest, I don't ever, just because I play a lot of like progressive metal and rock and stuff like that, I don't use wide open drums because
Yeah,
I need control. So this thing is inspiring me to do different things already because I have it basically just a little drum dot on there,
yeah,
and it's lots of noise, lots of good noise. And
yeah.
so I love it, man. It cracks, it's got crazy body, and I'm just super stoked on it. And it looks pretty cool. Me and
It
Chris
looks
Garcia had
great.
that discussion, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so yours what has the black hardware on it, right? And the
Yep.
gold body. Yeah, that drum looks awesome. And it's got such a nice tone to it. Got like a really warm sound. It's just yeah, I love that drum. That was probably one of my favorites when we were doing the demos. We wanted all of the demos to sound very much like the real drum, so we didn't overprocess it.
Sure.
We did a tiny bit of EQ, and we put in a room mic just so you could kind of like feel like you're actually like there listening to someone play.
Right.
And I think they all came out really authentic. But as we played it, I think that was the most inspiring, which is funny. I have different things with each drum where, I didn't think the aluminum pre-chorus was going to be my favorite, but right now I can't get away from it because we're doing live streams with brushes and it's just the sound is so good. But, when we did the demos, the refrain in that raw brass was just awesome. I love the sound of it,
Hmm.
especially in the room we recorded was pretty big and pretty open. And it just, man, it smacks. It's got such a cool tone to it too.
I really do love it to death. That's why I almost immediately, like we were discussing, I was like, yeah, it's mine.
Yeah.